Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor. I just poured myself a cup of coffee, I just, with the Keurig, made myself a cup of coffee. And what better to do after you've got a cup of coffee in the middle of the day than to listen to the official cool guy weigh in of the Digital Asset Investor channel.
What's up, fam? Let's play a little Guess Who. Hey, forget about it. Come in and talk to us. Make us an offer we can't refuse. And then when you turn your back, we'll whack you. That's right, Gary. Stop being a tough guy. You lose some, you win none.
Oh man, that guy makes me laugh. Okay, so today James Phelan tweeted this: Democratic SEC Commissioner Lee, that's Allison Heron Lee, to leave agency after term ends in June. The first thing that popped in my head was she should apply at A16Z, which is Andreessen Horowitz. I'm sure she's already had some conversations there. Here's the article about her leaving. She is one of Gary Gensler's pals, by the way. She's voted with Gary Gensler, I think, on everything and the bad things Jay Clayton voted for. Then we have this, folks. I think that when you watch this video today, a lot of things will come together in your mind, okay? From Forbes Crypto, Consensys raises $450 million in Series D. It's a $7 billion valuation as its popular wallet, MetaMask, reaches over 30 million monthly active users. All right? And then Ripple appropriately replies, JPMorgan's wallet, MetaMask, you mean, right? Okay. Now, when I saw Consensys' $7 billion valuation, I couldn't help but bring this up. Remember, Ripple's in an SEC lawsuit. Ripple has been valued at $15 billion, more than twice that of Consensys. I just show that because I know that probably drives them up the freaking wall. And as long as we're here, let's remind you of this from Mr. B, Nick Burafedo. Friendly reminder, once the Ripple case is resolved, settled, or dismissed, it will be very difficult to buy Ripple on Link2. If you qualify as an accredited investor, we have some Ripple available for you to add to your portfolio now on Link2.com. Go check it out. They are one of my sponsors, and I do own some of that Ripple that they're talking about. Okay, so Joseph Lubin, who has not been tweeting lately, he tweeted this out, and as you'll see from the tweet, now nobody can reply to Joseph Lubin unless he follows you or you're mentioned in the tweet. He says, I'm excited to share news of our Series D fundraise. Today, Consensys announced the close of $450 million USD financing round, bringing its valuation to $7 billion USD. And I retweeted that and said, what a sham, Gary. Hester Pierce, Allison Heron Lee. Ethereum 1.0 was a security, is a security, or the way it was issued is a security. Ethereum 2 is a security. It's a security issuance in progress. ETH staking, which is earning interest, that's a security according to Gary Gensler, and they're doing it right now. Disguised whales from the Ethereum ICO, there's never been an audit to show who those disguised whales were. And the SEC sues Ripple while this guy brags about his fundraise. You can't make this up, folks. But we're not done yet. When I'm done here, you will have a really good idea of what is going on. JV says, what? But Ripple can't have a treasury of XRP. See, this is part of his tweet series. We've long maintained a significant treasury of Ethereum, but they've not been willing to tell us what that is and where it came from, who got it, how much did they sell? Nothing. So he's bragging about his treasury of ETH. He's also bragging about his switch to proof of stake and the staking as well. Gary, if you're listening, he's bragging about all of his securities, according to you. And then John Deaton replies and says, he's talking about Eleanor Terrett and Charles Gasparino. We know how many XRP tokens Ripple owns. Each quarter, Ripple publishes XRP quarterly reports detailing sales or transfers of XRP. This is the CEO of Library, provided a ledger showing exactly where the money went or goes. Both got sued. Transparency is a crime, okay? Now, Blockworks put this out today. JPMorgan, from crypto to skeptic to joining the metaverse. No, this is wrong. This is just what they put out, okay? They're talking about how Jamie Dimon in 2014, Bitcoin's a terrible store of value. Bitcoin will not survive. Bitcoin is going nowhere. Jamie Dimon says Bitcoin is a fraud that will eventually blow up, has its own crypto, and it's starting real world trials. And then, anyway, at some point in here, in this whole timeline, but here's the crazy part, folks. We know that somewhere right in here that JPMorgan was because Joseph Lubin said it on several occasions. We know that somewhere right in here, while he was sowing all these seeds of doubt about Bitcoin, which at the time was kind of the representative of the entire industry, it was like still is kind of like that. But he was sowing seeds of doubt there while getting you to stare at him what he's saying about Bitcoin, while over here with the other hand, they were working with the guys from Ethereum since before the launch of Ethereum. And I'll ask again, who are the disguised whales in the Ethereum ICO? Okay? We'll keep asking that. Then there's this. Remember the other day, March 1st, blockchain company Consensys faces multi-billion-dollar audit as shareholders claim board breaches fiduciary duties. And the problem they had is this. Consensys Software, in exchange for 10% ownership of CSI and an offset of $39 million loan by founder Joseph Lubin, internally codenamed Project North Star, the transaction resulted in legacy financial institutions such as JPMorgan Chase acquiring an influential stake in MetaMask and Infura, two of the most widely used infrastructure tools in Ethereum. 1 year later, this intellectual property was used to raise funding for CSI at a valuation of $3 billion, with rumors of a $7 billion valuation of the current round, which is today. Okay? And then there was this guy's tweet. Ethereum is a Trojan horse for tyranny. Consensys owns Infura, MetaMask, JPMorgan, UPS, and MasterCard own Consensys. 99% of EVM transactions go through Consensys. DeFi is captured by VCs and banks. His words are not mine, folks. Only Bitcoin is government resistant. Ethereum is not even insider resistant. And then I put this out today. This is a video clip. I want to read this to you, and then I want you to watch the video clip. Now, if this video clip gets hit with a copyright, because I could get hit with copyright by playing this in the video here. If I do, you're not going to see it. And so if I do get hit with copyright, I want you to go into my Twitter feed and watch it. It's a must watch. It's Joe Rogan interviewing this guy, and somebody had put this together. If you wanted to now think about what they did with the whole Ethereum thing. The SEC we know that they got with people at Consensys, all these lawyers, all these people. They created this thing that they've been touting ever since. It's like a drumbeat. Decentralized, decentralized, decentralized. In other words, we say it enough and everybody will eventually believe it. Even though it's not true, they're not decentralized. But if we say it and we say it and we say it and we say it, and Joseph Lubin called it creating his own reality. He said we knew that if we were at a time where if we explained to people what this is, we could create our own reality, is what he said. Okay? And I said, if you wanted to maintain central power, because we know JPMorgan was involved in Ethereum from day one, before the launch, okay? If you wanted to maintain, and we also know that JPMorgan was represented when the Federal Reserve was created, right? If you wanted to maintain central power, what would be a genius way to keep it when you feared a decentralized world was coming? Create a movement and call it decentralized when it's really a Trojan horse. Hell, maybe even get the SEC to make a decentralization speech give a Bitcoin and Ethereum a free pass, and then slam the door on all other crypto, thus giving you a monopoly. And now watch this video.
I believe we're in a moment of the Gutenberg press. Go back to when the printing press was invented. Technology disrupts power structures. It always has. Printing and its invention was a new technology. What happened when they invented the printing press? The power structures who up until that point were reading the Bible for you and were telling you that you got to pay this priest X amount of favors and he'll forgive you your sins. And that became a bribery system, right? Which is what Martin Luther was so upset about when he pinned his thesis to the wall. The printing press disrupted that power dynamic because people could read the Bible for themselves. And they began realizing that the power structures were manipulating what was written to control people. Now, nobody in hindsight is going to argue that printing and its invention is a bad thing for humanity. But at the time, it led to war. It led to the 30 Years' War in Europe. Because it disrupted power so much that people began rising up, and it led to this 30-year period of war, which eventually led to the Reformation, and the rest is history, right? What's today's Gutenberg press? The internet. The decentralization of information, and then because of that, the decentralization of currency in the form of crypto is disrupting power. Because the way that after the revolution of the Reformation, the printing press, control was still possible, though obviously not to that level, which is why we no longer have those absolute monarchies. But control in a nation-state context was still possible to an extent because the money supply was controlled. Now what's happening is that the invention of the internet with the decentralization of information, and in particular here the decentralization of currency in the form of cryptocurrencies, is disrupting those power hierarchies, and it's leading to this conflict now. And we're in a moment when the printing press was invented, the powers that be needed to try and hold on to that power as the 30 Years' War kicked off. They eventually lost it, but to hold on to it they became very brutal because they were losing their grip on power. Today, to have the infrastructure in place that you can have a checkpoint Charlie society, so that when the central banking digital currencies are in place, that infrastructure is already there because people were so scared they voluntarily allowed you to put that in place, so that you can maintain your grip on power, because what's coming around the corner is the decentralization of everything, of media, therefore of narrative, and of course remember, whoever defines the truth gets to define reality. Decentralization of the economy through crypto. You no longer have the power to define the story and control the money supply. So the powers that be, who are losing that power, need to clamp down. They're clamping down on their own children, because we are people who are born of the West. So it's an internal civil war in a hybrid war context over truth and over information. Centralization versus decentralization. It's no longer about left or right. It's about up versus down. It's about power versus those who don't have power.
Make no mistake, folks, this is a war. This is about truth. This is about this is about wanting our children to live in a world of truth instead of a world of lies, where they're nothing but a bunch of guinea pigs that are herded into wherever these people, these sickos, want to herd them. This is about restoring what I hope, what I feel like the United States used to be. This is about a lot bigger things than crypto, and we've got something on our side that they don't have. We have the truth on our side. I'm not having to you never have to disallow people from replying to your tweets if you have the truth on your side. And that's the problem. There's a reason that these guys, there's a reason that John Deaton's timeline are the facts. There's a reason those are the facts and they're not in dispute. They haven't disputed any of it because they can't, because they don't have the truth on their side. And so these are some scary times that everybody's in, but guess what? I'm too old to give a damn, okay? At this point, I want my children to have a future, and I'm going to do my small part in trying to make it that way, make it where when I'm dead and gone, that these kids, I can say I fought the good fight, and they can know what their dad did, and hopefully their future is brighter than ours was, you know. And so we're going to do what we got to do. I think that's one thing that I've learned about my father, who is the official father of the Digital Asset Investor channel. The older that he's gotten, the less he gives a damn, because, and I think that goes for a lot of older people, is as long as you're fighting the good fight and you're doing the right and honorable thing, and you're doing what's in the best interest of the people around you and your family, you don't have anything to apologize for. These people that we're talking about a lot on this channel, they have a lot to apologize for. They ought to be ashamed of themselves. And you can only hope that at some point, somebody somewhere with some power, Congress or wherever, forces them to do the right thing. For instance, here's Library. They tried to do the right thing. SEC, your token, they went and met with these guys. SEC, your token looks like a security. Oh no, is there anything we can do to change that? SEC, yes, but you have to guess what that is. Library, can you give us any hints? SEC, no. Library, guesses? SEC, you guessed wrong, now we punish you. You owe us money. That is the sicko, double-crossing, dishonest United States of America now. And this is not, this mentality by one of our government agencies is not going to make the USA number one in anything. This might make a few lawyers at the SEC number one in their career path, but it's not doing anything to better this country for your children and my children. So we've been forced into a situation. I mean, I had no idea when this whole thing came up. I had no idea that things were this twisted in our country now. But they are, and these people are sick, and they deserve to be brought to justice, is what the truth of it is. John Deaton, they're talking here in this tweet. Stefan Huber's talking about how the SEC's made a 180-degree turnaround. 3 weeks ago, they were claiming that the Esterbrook notes were only relevant if Garlinghouse motion to dismiss was denied. Now they're claiming the Esterbrook notes are relevant because the motion to dismiss was denied. I'm tired. And Deaton says, I've said from the day they responded to the writ of mandamus until now, the SEC attorneys are 100% transactional. In other words, in their arguments. In other words, today, if it suits their purposes, they'll say that red is red. But tomorrow, if they're trying to argue to get something else, they'll say, no, red's black. I thought you knew. Red's black. That's how sick and twisted that this agency has become. And you know, this didn't happen overnight, folks. I can remember when we had a president who in a deposition said, well, that depends on what the definition of is. And I remember hearing that. I remember hearing that when I was younger, and I remember hearing that and thinking to myself, man, this country is screwed. If that kind of behavior is allowed, depends on what the definition of is, and this guy's able to get away with that kind of an insult to all of our institutions and the law and everything else, then we're in a bad spot in this country. And when you let one thing like that go, then it leads to another thing and another thing and another thing. Before long, you live in a banana republic, which is what I think we're in right now. Just in, U.S. producer price inflation surges to 10% in February, the highest annual increase on record. Strap in, folks. Now, I told you before that this was all about the petrodollar. Digital currencies, control of the entire world's monetary system. It's about the petrodollar. This is Anthony Pompliano, a Bitcoin maximalist, who says the Wall Street Journal is reporting that Saudi Arabia is considering accepting the yuan instead of dollars for Chinese oil sales. Now, folks, I don't know if you've ever seen me play this video, but whether you have or you haven't, you need to see it again. You need to see it again, and see it again, so that you understand where our world is right now. Because if this is going on in the news right now, that means the petrodollar is about dead if it's not dead already. Watch this. Now remember, the backdrop to this is a week ago, these people, remember when Joe Biden said that he's banning buying Russian oil? Remember how he went and tried to go, I think it was to Saudi Arabia and to the Middle Eastern countries, and they wouldn't return his calls, wouldn't answer him, and now they're talking to China, folks. You telling me this wasn't all planned? Now I want you to see how important the petrodollar is to the U.S.
The standard of living of all Americans can be traced back to here, the vast oil-rich deserts of Saudi Arabia.
In the early 70s, after the Arab crisis happened with the oil embargoes, OPEC basically tripled the price of oil to the Western world. And at that time, America realized that they were vulnerable because they were importing about 70% of all the oil they consumed.
To secure a reliable foreign source of oil, U.S. President Richard Nixon sent his Secretary of State and National Security Advisor, Henry Kissinger, to Saudi Arabia for a secret meeting. The result was a pact that still stands to this day.
If Saudi Arabia, which at the time was the world's largest producer of oil, would sell the oil in US dollars, America would defend Saudi Arabia and make sure the House Assad would stay in power.
As a direct result of this U.S.-Saudi agreement, all other oil-producing nations also adopted the dollar as the de facto medium of exchange. Demand for it increased exponentially all over the world, and soon it had a new name: the petrodollar.
Your currency is only as strong as the demand for it, just like anything else, the supply and demand. Why the petrodollar is important? It causes a demand for the US dollar. A lot of Americans don't realize that over 70% of all the $100 bills in the world are actually outside of the US. There's more $100 bills in Russia than there are in America.
This stockpile of US dollars in countries around the world is because oil is bought and sold using the greenback.
If oil starts trading in non-petrodollars, such as gold or a basket of currencies, or if China and Russia start trading in yuan and ruble rather than US dollars, that demand isn't there. And the way of life for the average American will be done. It will be worse than the Great Depression.
Folks, I'm telling you, I wasn't even planning on mentioning this, but I'm going to mention it because I bought more gold today. I'm going to put it at the top of this description. Go and get open a Glint account, because what the solution to what you just heard, as scary as that is, the solution is for you to have spendable gold. If you have, that's what Glint is. You buy the gold in the account, then you get a master debit card, and you can literally spend the gold. I did it on my margaritas and cheese dip this past weekend just to show you could do it. Go there, top of the description of this video, go there. This is what I'm doing, okay? I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just telling you it's a good feeling, okay? For me, very good feeling. All right. This guy says, thank you, Ripple, for donating $500,000 in XRP to the Kiev School of Economics Humanitarian Relief Fund. This money will be put towards 5,000 medical kits and provisions that can save thousands of lives. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and tell your friends and family. Check out that Glint link at the top, folks. We are in some very shaky